Welcome back to the third episode of the first season of the Girls Ask Guys show. I am your host, John Newport, also known as Knight at 2170. This is the show where you are the star. I hope you're ready because we're about to step this thing off because we're all going to learn how to master this thing that we call life together. And welcome back, all you gangsters. Hey, I want to say I really do appreciate you tuning in for this third episode. I know those first two episodes were kind of rough. We just got back in from Texas where we actually went out and took a major in-depth course on audio production, specifically the equipment and the software that we're actually using to record this show. So hopefully we're going to be able to implement some of those tips and tricks and strategies in order to tighten this thing up just a little bit more and make it sound like it's one of those productions that's coming out of one of those major studios. That's where we want to get to, so that when you tune in or you're downloading this podcast, it sounds like it's very professional and it's something that you want to continue to listen to. Now, the next major announcement that I have is that we are actually getting real close to bringing in that female talent. Yes, we are going to have that co-host that I've been talking about. We're narrowing down to the last few selections, and these are some very talented women. And so they have a lot to give to this show. And I think you're going to really enjoy them. So stay tuned because in the next couple of episodes, hopefully the next episode, we're going to have that female talent right here. And all of you women, you're going to have a voice. And guys, you're going to hear it straight from the source. So if you got questions for women, we're going to have one right here where you can submit your question. And girls, of course, you can always submit your questions and I'll do the best I can to actually help you guys out as well. It's going to bring a new dynamic, and it's the dynamic that I've been chomping at the bit for. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into these questions and see if we can't help somebody out, and hopefully we're going to put a new spin on the show and make it just a little bit more entertaining. I got some feedback, and I really do appreciate that. Yes, we do want your feedback. We do want your comments. And if you have anything that you want to submit to us, hey, just head over to girlsaskguyshow.com. Right there, we have a contact page where you can actually submit your questions, and you can also request to be a guest. Hold on, we're about to jump into those questions right about now. This first question comes in from Guy's Behavior. Guys, would you bring a woman to a fast food place like McDonald's for a first date? Now, this is given by an anonymous female, 25 to 29. Now, she continues on. She says, if yes, why? And girls, would you be okay with this? This guy I met on a dating app decided to meet me, and he picked me up, and we went to McDonald's. WTF, LOL. I happen to agree with the last part of your message there. Yeah, this is something I have seen done, but it's not something that I would do. If I'm going out with somebody for the first time, I want it to look like I put some thought into it. Now, normally the thing that I do on a first date is I would set it up so that we could meet at like a coffee shop or something like that. This way, there's no pressure. It's a casual atmosphere, and we can actually sit down and talk to kind of get to know each other. The last thing I really want to have happen is to place an order for something and they ask if I want fries with that and would you like that supersized? Or she somehow feels obligated to order off the dollar menu. Now, some girls might not have any problem whatsoever going to a fast food place like McDonald's or Taco Bell, KFC, place like that. But I really think that probably works more on how long you've known the person, kind of like you were friends for a couple of months or you had mutual friends so they kind of knew each other. And then someplace like that probably is not out of the question. But meeting a person for the first time and you've really only met for like a couple of minutes before you asked her out or she asked you out or something like that, and then you decide to go to a fast food joint, that is something I would not do. I mean, you're just not really setting yourself up for any kind of success there. Let's take a look at the first impression that you're going to be making. So you go in and you order a cheeseburger. Instead of ordering the fries, you go ahead and get the healthy option, whatever that is. I've heard that they've got healthy options now. But you get the healthy option, but she likes fries. So she orders a salad instead. She actually would like to have a double quarter pounder cheeseburger thing with fries, but she's looking at what you're ordering and seeing that you've got the healthy option, whatever that is. And now she's stepping out of who she is to try and impress you. And you've already set the bar really low by going to a fast food joint. I mean, who's going to get the Happy Meal toy? Are you going to be selfish and keep it for yourself, or are you going to give it to her? Now, if money is a concern, there are plenty of different options. Like I said, I choose a coffee shop for a number of different reasons, and that I will get into in a separate podcast. But if money is a concern, take a look at how much it costs for 2 cups of coffee versus however much it costs for, 2 Happy Meals at McDonald's. The cost comparison is almost nominal. There's really no difference between the two. Actually, I would say that 2 cups of coffee costs less. But if you're looking at the typical first date where it's dinner and a movie, which is something I do not do, McDonald's or any kind of fast food place and a movie really isn't going to work. Now, if you want to do order in because you're going to do a Netflix night or something like that, even then, fast food really isn't it. I mean, the closest you want to get to fast food on that would be a pizza. But I would even raise it up just a little bit more if you can, which would be to cook a meal. Now, one thing that my mom always taught me was if you can read, you can cook. It's not that difficult. Find a cookbook or find something online, fix it once yourself just to make sure that it comes out tasting decent, and then invite the girl over or the guy over and then fix it again. That way, you actually have a home-cooked meal, and it gives you something you can actually talk about and something you can interact with. Because if you are cooking dinner, they don't want to be sitting there. What do most people do? They ask if they can help. Sure, come on in. Here, you can chop this up, you can stir this, do that. Now you're actually coming together and learning about each other with that. Even if you got the cookbook out and you're actually reading it, at least it shows that you're putting forth an effort and putting forth a little bit more than going to a fast food place. I mean, my gosh, that shows absolutely zero class, shows zero thought. The only exception I would make to this is if she mentioned going to a fast food place or she hinted at going to a fast food place. Now, if you want to do that on a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 25th date, hey, have at it. That's you. Me, personally, I stay away from those places. The closest I want to get is maybe a Firehouse Subs and maybe do a pizza. But that's it. Most of the time, what I do is I actually cook in the kitchen. And if you can raise your culinary skills, 1, it's healthier for you. 2, you have control over the ingredients. And 3, it just tastes better. I mean, it is no secret that a lot of those fast food places, all that stuff is deep frozen and everything else. If your palate is up to par, you can actually taste the difference between something that has been previously frozen and something that is actually fresh. And the first time a person tastes something that is fresh, it really raises the bar. And with that, you're going to set a precedence that you actually give a damn about what they think and that you are really trying to impress them and make that good first impression. Unless you have some kind of warped sense, why would you take somebody on a first date and have no vision for the future as far as a second date is concerned? And starting off a date with a fast food place, you're really not setting yourself up for success for getting a second date. That's my opinion on this one. Hopefully it makes sense to you. This next question comes from the marriage and weddings area, and it's from an anonymous female aged 25 to 29. And she asks, how do I deal with a woman who flirts with my husband at work? And she continues on with, my husband told me about this female coworker who keeps flirting with him even knowing that he is married. He said that he doesn't flirt back, but she doesn't stop. She tries to touch him too. She even suggested going to a bar after work, which my husband declined. I feel like going over there and cursing her out, but that would be too dramatic. Before I get into this, I want to give your husband props for actually letting you know that this is actually taking place. That way, if you see it, you're not going to become suspicious of it. Or if you hear about it, again, you're not going to be suspicious that he's actually doing something that he really should not be doing. Now, with that being said, you should not get involved with this. And the reason I say that is if you go up there and you try to confront this woman about this, all it's going to do is cause problems, and it could cost your husband his job. And then you're going to be doing a follow-up question with, how do I apologize to my husband because I got him fired? So I would leave this up to your husband to take care of. Now, with him, what he needs to do is he needs to tell this woman in no uncertain terms, and hopefully in front of other people, that he is not interested. And that will set the precedence for him to do a sexual harassment case against her. But he has to take that first step. He has to tell her to knock it off. Now, once he has done that, he can take it to HR and report her. Now, I know it's highly unusual and it's uncool and unmanly, unmacho, however people want to put it, for a guy to report a woman for coming on to him. But if it's unwelcome and it's unwanted, it's a sexual harassment case. And once he has reported it, he needs to step back and let the company do its job. They hired him to do a job. And if this woman is affecting his job, they need to do their job and do whatever they're going to do with her. Either talk to her, discipline her, fire her, transfer her, it doesn't matter. Let the company do its job. That's why they have people in positions specifically for this type of harassment. Now, if you want, there are different things that you can do without getting specifically involved. You get specifically involved and you're going to be writing us to find out how to apologize to your husband for getting him fired. And I have no answers for that other than taking him to a strip club if he's into that kind of thing. But from what I heard, that can be rather expensive. And since he doesn't have a job, I don't think that's really going to work. If you want to get involved, there are several things that you can do to keep it very low key, but also let this other woman know that he is spoken for. He has already chosen somebody. He doesn't want to choose somebody else. He has chosen you. What you can do is try dropping your husband off at work, stop in, bring him lunch, pick him up from work, and let that other woman see him with you. But do not approach her. Don't look at her. Keep it very, very, very low key as you possibly can. That way she sees that he is already claimed and he has already made his choice. Now, if that doesn't work, he's going to have no choice but to report it to the HR department so that they can take it over and take care of this for him. Now, as far as you dealing with this, there isn't anything for you to deal with. This is something that your husband has to take care of, and you need to stay out of it, other than the suggestions that I gave you as far as dropping him off, bringing him lunch, and picking him up. That's it. Everything else relies on him and him following his company policy for any kind of sexual harassment. I hope my opinions actually help you out in some way, and I would really like to hear how this actually worked out for you. I just want to take a moment here and thank everybody for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. I also want to remind everybody you can head over to girlsaskguyshow.com. On the site, you can submit your questions to be read right here on the show. Once we get that question, we will give our opinion and our point of view on it, and hopefully we're going to be able to point you in the right direction, or at least give you something to actually think about. But it doesn't stop there. You can also request to be a guest co-host. That's right. You can come right here on the show and give your point of view and your opinions on every question that comes in. You're already the star of the show, so why not let your voice be heard? The only thing that we ask is that you subscribe to the show. Again, I really do appreciate all of you and everybody that has listened to the show and those that have already subscribed. Again, that is girlsaskguyshow.com. Now let's get back to some more questions. So this next question comes in from an 18-year-old girl named Mermaidia, LOL. Should everyone be required to recycle? She continues with, do you think everyone should be required to recycle? Why or why not? Hey, this is actually a pretty good question. Now, before I go in and actually start giving my personal opinion and start talking about my own personal beliefs and points of view, let me make it clear that I do believe that people should actually care about the planet and the environment. Because when I was growing up back in the 70s, if you took a look at Los Angeles or New York, take a look at photographs taken of the skyline during that period of time, you will see just how bad it actually was. Now, you compare that with current photographs and you'll see how much the air has actually cleaned up. I want to make it clear that people should actually take an interest in the environment and in the air we breathe and the water we drink. So here's my take on this, and this is my own personal opinion, my own personal view. I think more research needs to be done into recycling technologies so that it becomes more cost efficient and less energy consuming. Because right now, and I have absolutely zero data or any hard numbers on this. All I really do know is what has been already reported is that recycling costs more and takes more energy to recycle something than it does to actually make something new. So, for instance, let's say I'm a store owner and I need some new plastic bags. So I can purchase new plastic bags or I can purchase recycled plastic bags. Now, the recycled bags are actually going to cost me more than the new plastic bags. The recycled plastic bags cost $5 per 100 and the new plastic bags cost $3 per 100. So there's the cost variance. Now, if we go further into it, a new plastic bag, and again, I have no numbers or any factual data, but I'm just going to toss this out here for illustrative purposes. Let's say that the new plastic bags produce 3 tons of pollution to create those new plastic bags. But the recycled plastic bags, those it takes, instead of 2 or 3 tons, I don't remember what I just said, but let's say instead of 2 or 3 tons of pollution, it actually is double that amount because of how much energy it takes to take that plastic, break it back down into a moldable, usable material to make another plastic bag. So there's my disconnect there. And that's why at this point in time, I would say, no, I would not make it a requirement for people to recycle. Now, I do agree, recycling is something that we should look at, but right now, the technology, it costs more and produces more pollution to recycle than it does to produce new. Now, after that problem gets fixed to where recycling actually produces less pollution and it costs less to do, then yes, I do believe people should recycle. However, I do not think it should be a mandatory requirement that every person recycles. We've already got enough problems in the legal system, and with people being locked up for other crimes, we don't need to start fining people and locking people up for not recycling. That is just not something I could get on board with. Now, if it became easier to recycle, then yes, I think everybody should, but it should be something that they want to do because it is cost effective for them. There's some kind of value other than an idea, something that's abstract, but actual value out of it. I want to dive a little bit harder into this, and hopefully everybody's staying on board with me and kind of following my thought process with this. Let's say I go to a store and I'm using plastic bags as for instance because I think everybody can relate directly to this. So I go to a store and of course I'm checking out and I'm putting all my groceries and my whatnot into plastic bags. If it costs the store less to have those plastic bags, now I know there are some people that are going to disagree with me on this, but follow me on this. If the overall cost to the store is less and they want to attract more customers, they're going to drop the price on the products or services that they are providing. Some people would say, no, they're not. They're going to keep that extra profit. Not if they want to attract more customers. More customers means more bottom line for that business. So if I get a value out of it by going to that store and it costs me less to shop at that store, now I can see the benefit of recycling. Because let's be honest, how many of us witness and see what not recycling does? Most of us don't. The landfills are covered. There's green on the side. We don't see what's on the other side of that hill. We go to a beach. The beach, for the most part, and for those of us that don't live on the coastline, we don't see that stuff washing up on shore. That is not something we see. So we don't see the benefit of recycling. So for somebody that lives away from the shoreline or lives in an area where they don't come in contact with the pollution that is taking place because people are not recycling, everything that's out there right now is abstract. I mean, people talk about acid rain. I've never encountered acid rain. I've never turned on my tap and saw brown water coming out of my tap. I don't pass by a landfill. I don't see that stuff. So when people are talking about landfills and pollution and everything else, I'm looking around and everything is fine. So what's in it for me other than feeling good? And if it's too complex, I have to sit there and separate every single thing. I have to put my plastics over here. Oh, Okay, those plastics now have to be divided up into 3 different types of plastics based on the little symbol on it. And then I have to put my clear glass bottles here. I have to put my colored glass bottles there. And this type of paper goes here, and this type of paper goes over here. And then I have to, it's too much. It needs to be a very simple process. 1 or 2 different recycle cans, one here for hard stuff and organics go over here. Done. Make it easy for me and something that I can look at and go, okay, this is doing something good. And by all means, more people will definitely recycle because there's a intrinsic value that they are seeing and feeling the benefits of that. Now, right now, I use the comparison of photographs of New York and Los Angeles and what it looked like from the 1970s, where you can see how dark and brown the air was. And that's because we didn't have carbon emissions back then until there was a fuel crisis. Now, granted, I was a child, so I don't remember that fuel crisis. Some people that are listening to this, they might remember that. And then you compare those same guideline to photographs of today, and you can see it is clear. Now, that's because of carbon emissions and the technologies that they have included in the engines that are in cars. There's a value. People can look up and they can see clear skies. They're not looking up and seeing dingy brown. Now, I am aware that there are places where you look up and you can still see that, but it is nothing near what it was back in the 70s. So we have come a long way, but still, as of today, there's too much. It costs too much. The amount of energy that it takes to recycle something is too much. There's more pollution happening. It might not even be at that recycle area, but the amount of energy that they are drawing to produce that causes pollution. It's just in another area. They're not seeing that. There's a disconnect. And all these little areas from top end all the way down to the bottom end, it needs to be cost effective and people need to see and feel and get some kind of value back. But I do not think it should be a requirement. If people have value coming back to them that they can grasp and witness, they will want to recycle by themselves. So as a requirement, no. Should we recycle? Yes. But we still have a long way to go before we actually get there. Hopefully I answered that closely enough that I didn't muddy it up. And I gave some good examples so that you could follow my thought processes on that. Yes, I do believe in the environment. I do think that people should recycle, but it does need to be a simpler process. And there needs to be some kind of value that people can actually latch onto. And we have time enough for just one more question before we're going to have to wrap this up. So this one is submitted by a girl who is posting anonymously, and she is under 18. How would you get a guy to like you? And she continues on with, hi, long story short, I like this guy, but I'm not sure if he likes me back. Him and I are cool with each other, but we're not really friends. How would you move up a few levels with someone you think is currently not interested? Any tips, personal stories? How would you get a guy to like you? Well, first things first, I'm a guy and I don't want other guys to like me. Question answered, done. No, but seriously, this is actually very simple to do. And all it takes is a little bit of observation on your part and some active listening. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to approach and ask a question that is non-threatening and has zero agenda behind it. You're not looking for anything. All you're going to do is ask a very simple question. And this question could be almost anything. For example, it could be carrying a book bag and you could say, hey, that's a really nice book bag. Where'd you get that? Now, because this question is so innocent, no alarm bells are going off. He's not sitting there going, oh my gosh, she's judging me. She's trying to pick me up. None of that is going through his mind. You're asking about his book bag and the fact that you like it and you wonder where he got it from. Now, the one thing that you want to do is you want to keep these questions very innocent. You want to make it so that all the questions that you're asking are open-ended. Give him something to talk about. He's going to do the majority of the talking. All you're going to be doing is observing and listening. That's it. He's going to do the majority of the talking. Now, obviously, you can't sit there and talk about his book bag all day long. You're going to have to change the topic up. Once you've got that initial conversation going, you want to pay attention and listen for something or look for something else that you can actually ask about. And you want to ask about one of two things, either something about what he wants to do in the future, or what he is passionate about. You want one of those two. And something that he is passionate about is going to work better for you because he's going to really open up and talk to you. So let's say he's wearing a band shirt, or he's got a little keychain, it's got a little music emblem on it, or a necklace with a little music emblem, something like that. So he's into music. And all you have to do is go, oh, I see you're into music. What kind of music do you like? And why do you like that kind of music? That's going to open him up even more. So see how this conversation evolves. Now, once you talk about what he's passionate about for a couple of minutes, you want to change things up just a little bit more. And here you're going to delve into his past. Now, the way that you do this is it's a simple curiosity question. And it's going to be kind of catch him off guard a little bit. So I'm curious, what were you like as a little kid? Did you have an imaginary playmate, or did you pretend to be a superhero? And all that's going to do is open him up even more. It shows him that you're actually more interested in who he is and how he became the person he is, more than his looks or his job, his money, or anything else like that. A lot of people get hooked up on that superficial stuff, but when you dive in and you try to discover more about who they are, they become more attracted to you. And as you do this, you're going to see his body position is going to change. He's slowly going to turn more towards you while this is happening. He's actually becoming more interested in you and who you are. And he's going to start asking questions back to you. And that is how you actually attract somebody to you. This works for both guys and girls, but you have to be aware that guys and girls, when we become stressed, we go in opposite directions. When women become stressed, they start looking for more details. Guys, when we become stressed, we start answering in very general type things. So you have to watch that. If he starts becoming very general, he's becoming stressed, and you need to move away and come back and try it again at a later time. Okay, and that's all the time that we have for today. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to this podcast, and I hope you join us on the next one. Remember, if you have any questions, head over to girlsaskguyshow.com, and on the contact page, you can submit your questions for us to answer right here on the air. Now, if you want to be a guest host and you want to give your opinion and also give your perspective on the questions that we receive, all you need to do is be a subscriber and let us know that you want to be a guest host. And while you're there, please let us know how we're doing. We want your honest feedback so that we can make improvements on the show for you. We really do appreciate everybody that's listening. I hope they come and join us on the next one so that we can master this thing called life together. Now get out there and be the star you were meant to be and live life on your terms. This has been a production of the Girls Ask Guys Show. Visit us over at thegirlsaskguyshow.com, where you can subscribe, submit your questions, and request to be a guest on the show. Go ahead and leave us some honest feedback. Let us know how we did. We really appreciate everybody listening, and we'll talk to you on the next one.